Welcome to another episode of Until It's Done, a devoted podcast. I'm your host, Dana Lynn Kay, and I'm back here in the studio with Steph Ranallo. We have some great topics to talk about today. We're going to focus on Steph had weight loss surgery. What year did you have that, Steph? 2016? 2016. Just a quick recap. If you're new, Steph had weight loss surgery. She went from 305 pounds to about 150 pounds. So she lost almost half of herself, basically. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about, going through weight loss surgery. So a lot of people understand that, yes, after weight loss surgery, there is a significant amount of weight that can be lost. But what happens after? The journey isn't over just because you lose weight. So, Steph, in what order? So you had the weight loss surgery, and then did you have plastics? Did you start building muscle? What happened to you after the weight loss surgery?
So I lost the majority of my weight within the first, I think it was 16, 18 months. But I started working out very shortly after I was allowed to, you have to recover. I started working out 2 months after my surgery, and I kind of never stopped. But I worked out, and and somebody told me, and this was kind of before I started the whole bodybuilding thing. I think I was maybe technically bodybuilding for about 4 months before I had my plastic. So there was 2 years of time that I was kind of doing my own thing. And someone told me, when you have weight loss surgery, you're going to want plastic surgery afterwards. You're going to have a lot of skin that hangs everywhere. And it becomes detrimental to you at some point. You're going to want to have that done, and don't get that done until you build some muscle, until you get down to one of your leanest spots, because it's a big surgery. You're going to spend a lot of money. And I've always stood by that. So I see a lot of people get weight loss surgery, don't really change their lifestyle, and then immediately want plastics that year after. And I see them then gain weight and kind of screw up their plastics.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, plastic surgery, even if you go down to Mexico, which a lot of people do, and that's fine, it's over $10,000, up to $30,000. And my surgery was a lot of money. So making sure that you're ready to do plastic surgery. But yeah, so I lost a lot of weight, started kickboxing, loved kickboxing. And then I lost a lot of muscle when that happened. So I've always been a pretty muscular girl. I was always an athlete. I played softball, basketball. I was always a strong girl. I always held a lot of muscle mass. Even when I was a big girl, I was still a strong girl, right? But I lost a lot of muscle afterwards, after bariatric surgery, because I wasn't eating and I was doing a ton of freaking cardio. And of course, your body metabolically is going to pull from somewhere. And if you're not taking in the calories, your muscle becomes your calories, and it's going to pull from there. So I lost a lot of muscle, and I felt very small and cachectic, and I didn't like the way I looked. And I looked very, I don't know, what's this word?
Like gaunt, like drawn,
just unhealthy. Yeah. Honestly, I was small. I got down to 138 pounds or something at that point. And I achieved that. But when I looked at a picture of myself, I was like, I look like a chicken. I don't like that look. I like this full look. I like to. You
wanted an athletic, where it looks like you work out, and yes, that's the look I like too. Yeah.
So then I started bodybuilding. And lucky for me, not everybody is like this, but lucky for me, my body can put on muscle pretty easily. I dieted for a very long time and still gained muscle. So I did gain a little bit of muscle, and then went into plastic surgery, had to repair from that. And that's after that point is when I really got into the bodybuilding aspect of things.
So, okay. So then after the plastics and after you healed from plastics, because that's a whole process. Healing from
a whole process within itself. And that's a very daunting and mentally hard process for individuals who like to train and like to be in the gym to take that time off for plastics. It's work for us.
Yeah. And then building muscle. So I know that you said that, for you, it's easy. It's a little bit easier to put on muscle. But where the transition, now, usually when you go through weight loss surgery, calorically, I know people are not eating that many calories after weight loss surgery, but we all also know that in order to build muscle,
you need some cows.
You need some calories.
You also, and I kind of want to just go back. I think it was easier for me to put on muscle, because I can mentally push myself in the gym too. I wasn't scared to try and fail some new things. I like to get strong, and I wanted to get stronger. And then once I paired with a coach, they're like, you need to eat protein, period. And I was like, okay, they're telling me I need to eat protein, period. Let's do this. Like, I want to be like the best client ever. So I think that's why it was a little bit easier for me. But I see a lot of people don't take their training as seriously as they probably should if they.
And who taught you how to train? Like, because you know what, this is a good question for newbies, because because I hear a lot where people are like, well, I don't even know how to get into the gym. I'm a little intimidated. How did you learn to do all that?
YouTube. Okay. So this is how it happened. In high school, I remember being in and out of the gym playing softball. And I remember doing lap pull downs. Who can't do lap pull down? A row. Who can't do that stuff? That stuff is easy. Yeah. Never trained formally ever. Got into kickboxing. Like I said, loved it. So I spent some time getting good at that. And I would go to class 4 or 5 times a week. So the more you practice, the better you get. Even if you don't know anything, you just kind of start. Yeah. When I partnered with my coach, who is still my coach, Derek, now, and he sent me a training program. I looked at this training program and I was like, what the actual hell is this dude talking about? He wants me to go into the gym and do this. Yeah. The furthest I went from that point, the furthest I went into the gym was from the cardio machine to a couple weight machines. There was
that were easy, that you knew how to do.
There was no deadlifting. I didn't know how to do any of that. And I wasn't comfortable enough to do any of that. So I spent time on YouTube looking up form, because when you get an online coach, I had personal trainers every here and there throughout my 20s. Right. But they were mostly personal trainers that would make me do burpees or make me run outside or do a lot of cardio based things. It was never an actual bodybuilding personal trainer. I never had that. So I learned from YouTube, and I would take a lot of videos and I would send those videos for adjustment and form adjustments. And I really just I went into it this is a class for me. I want to get good at this. And as I got better at it, I felt better at it, and I got good. And it was cool to see my strength increase. So I get a lot of women and a lot of people, how did you start? I literally just dove in. I dove in. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't feel comfortable doing it. Even to this day, I walk into a new gym and I get a little bit of gym intimidation, and I shouldn't, because I've been training for almost 10 years and I look like I belong there now. Before, I was like, I don't even look like I belong here. You know what I mean? Yeah. I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And through that, I found out things that I didn't like to do. That didn't work good for my body. You could have a coach tell you to go barbell squat. Well, I don't barbell squat real well, but I can V squat really well. And that was only from trial and error. Yeah. I was okay failing. I've been embarrassed more times than a little bit in the gym. I have tripped. I have fallen. You've
fallen off the treadmill, with me on a trip. Are you kidding me? Steph, I'm over there training. This chick flies off the treadmill.
I was sprinting. I wasn't a sprinter. I'm not a sprinter. And
I was like, what the hell?
In my plan, it was, you need to sprint for this long. I was dieting at that point, and I did. And my legs didn't go as fast as my mind did, and my ass flew off that treadmill.
Yeah, but that's awesome. That's so funny, because I also am not afraid in the gym. I'll do some things that I'm like, okay, this is uncomfortable. This looks a little weird, or and I'm always one to try to follow my coach's plan. These days I'm not. These days if I get a plan. Yeah. Did I just kick something?
Then I was about it, right? This is so new to me. This is cool. And, a couple of years later, if you tell me to do walking lunges, I'm not going to do them. I don't like them. I don't care anymore. Yeah. To do that type of stuff. But you cannot get good at something unless you're okay with failing. Yes. Looking like an idiot sometimes and trying new things. So if you're not willing to do that, then that's fine, but you have to be willing to do something that's out of your comfort zone. And for me, being a 300-pound girl, everything in this lifestyle was out of my comfort zone, every single thing.
Yeah.
Everything. So it was just like, well, what? I mean,
and the funny part is like people always think like, oh, I'm embarrassed or I look silly. And I'm like, look silly to who? Like everybody else is in the gym doing their own thing, training. And it's like, if you don't just just go try. There's some times where I'll do a few little reps of something that I'm like, I saw this, but I'm just going to see if it works. And then I realize like, ew, I don't really like this. And I'm like, I wonder if anybody's watching me do this because I feel like an idiot. But then I look around and I'm like, Dana, nobody was watching and nobody cares. Like,
like you're not going to go in there and start doing like somersaults off of
no. Yeah.
Those are the people that we're all watching like, what are you?
No, those people who are just like doing these ridiculous, but yeah.
Do that, right?
And I recommend like anybody who's new into the gym, especially like say after weight loss surgery, if you've never, and you want to take it now on that, like, do more fitness and build muscle. Like I would even buy like a package of like 10 with a trainer and then like let them teach you everything. Let them run through the gym with you a few times, build you like 3 leg workouts, and then like a few upper body splits. And then that way, even if you can't like afford or it's not in your budget to keep having like a personal trainer your whole life.
They're very expensive.
They're very expensive and that's fine. But like have somebody walk through and build you some workouts. And then because I can't tell you guys for how many years, like I would get a trainer, do exactly that. And then like I would not be training with them, but I'd have the workouts written out in my book. And then I would keep doing them. And I probably did the same leg workout for like 2 years, like, or whatever it was.
Okay. Repetition, man.
Yeah.
Repetition.
And I would just get better. I'd add more weight or it was time under tension or I'd mix things up or add some more reps. But okay, I did a ton of squats. I did a ton of leg extensions. I did the things that I was comfortable with doing because I started when I was 12 and then at 17, I went into the gym and I couldn't afford a trainer. I was 17, but I had, people help me in the gym or I'd watch what other people were doing. And then I would like hop on the machine after them. Cause I'd be like, oh, okay, that looks good. I could do that. And once you like have like a handful of these workouts that you do, like do them until you get really, really, really good at them. And then have somebody help you and build some more. But that's the only way you're going to get good.
There's no right or wrong way.
Exactly.
And also people might find that they really hate weight training. And honestly, that's okay. You just have to understand that you probably won't build as much muscle as somebody who is increasing on their weights and doing progressive overload and things like that. But you kind of have to try different things like cycling. I hate cycling. I'm not doing it. Zumba. I hate Zumba. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, same.
So, like, it's just not for me. But I tried all of those things to make sure that I really did hate them,
And what about cardio? Like, do you find, do you have, because everyone's comfortable with cardio because it's hard to screw cardio up. Like, you're like, okay, I know how to walk on a treadmill. I know how to whatever. But like, if you really want to change your metabolism and the shape of your body.
Yeah, you do have to add some resistance training. And that doesn't necessarily mean just bodybuilding type workouts. It could be CrossFit.
It could be using bands. There are people, you could have bands at your house and do band workouts.
What's the other one? It could be kickboxing. There's a lot of resistance in kickboxing, punching that bag and things like that. But, at some point you have to just break away from those cardio machines. But at the same time, we need to be pushing ourselves with whatever training that we're doing. If we're just going in and picking up a dumbbell and doing like this here, like that, you're not getting any rate of return. You're just not. You're wasting your time. You have to be into it and like push your body a little bit. So I know that there is a whole thing like you can't over cardio yourself. You need to train. But if you don't know how to train, you're not willing to push yourself, then you're not going to get as much out of it as the next person who is willing to write down their sets and, okay, I did this amount of weight for this amount of reps last week, and I can try to push one more set. I can try to push one more rep. I can try to push a little bit higher weight. Like I'm now competing with myself. Those are the people that are going to gain muscle, change their body shape and style, and help their metabolism because they're willing to compete with themselves on that notepad.
Right, exactly. Which is, it's so important to challenge yourself, push yourself like just a little bit more. It adds up.
I had a client, a new client of mine, and she's awesome now, and she's getting her things together. She's seeing a lot of change. But the first week that she was with me, she was like, Stephanie, my legs are shaking after leg day, and that's very uncomfortable. I'm like, yeah, good.
Yeah.
You pushed yourself. Congratulations. Did you get hurt? She said, no. I said, were you sore more than 2 days afterwards? She's like, no. I was like, you pushed yourself. That's what you need to be doing. And, just 4 weeks of her pushing herself, now she's like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And my body's starting to change. Yes, you haven't been doing that over the last couple of years. And that's why you've been kind of stuck.
Right.
So she was, wow, I got scared when I pushed myself too much. But that's actually what I needed to be doing.
So a lot of people complain, especially, so I hear it in the weight loss surgery community, but I also hear it just in people in general that, oh, I've hit a plateau. I can't move the scale. I don't know what to do. I've been stuck. I'm doing everything. And what do you suggest that they do if that happens?
Number one, you are going to hit plateaus. The first plateau, I think, it starts come around 3 months. And that is your body catching up to itself, right? So if you're dropping 20 pounds a month, 30 pounds a month, there is going to be a time where you level off and maybe only lose a pound a month, maybe. And that's okay. Your body's catching up with itself. A true plateau is no movement within 1 month, or maybe 2 months, people call it. But you just need to start looking at what's going on. Are you tracking your food? Usually 80% of the time people are saying, no, I'm not tracking my food. I'm plateaued, but I'm not tracking my food. Right. Okay, well, you have no idea what you're taking in, what you're not taking in, what's going on. I find that a lot of individuals who have weight loss surgery are really good about knowing what their protein looks like and what their carbohydrates look like, but have no idea what their fat looks like. And that adds up very, very quickly, which you could be at a caloric surplus just from that. Odds are you're probably not if you're new into weight loss surgery, you can't eat a lot. But a lot of times, when I have that client start tracking, they're very low on protein, very low on carbohydrates, because after weight loss surgery, carbohydrates are like the devil. You cannot touch them, sniff them.
I hear that a lot.
Which we can talk about later.
Yeah.
But then they're tracking their fats and they're eating, 80% of their diet in fats because I just grabbed a handful of nuts. And that could be 30 grams of fat right there. We could have that in food and kind of, start tailoring it, or their protein's so low and they're just not having a great macro blend. So that's the other one. The second one is, what are you doing for workouts? So if you have been walking on the treadmill for 4 months, 20 minutes a day for 4 days a week, and now you're not making any movements, well, guess what? You got to add something in. Yep. You got to change something up. You increase that incline, get your ass moving a little bit more on that treadmill. Add another day, add some different type of workout regime, go to a class. If you can't get into the gym independently, then go to the gym and get into a class where there's other like-minded people. What's going to happen there is you're going to meet people who are in the fitness realm, who want to change their bodies and have a like mind as you, and it's going to push you to go a little bit harder. This was my thing in kickboxing. Everyone there was there for a reason. We all wanted to get fit. So we were creating that bond. I wasn't ready to get into a gym, but, I had the same lady next to me who was also overweight. And we both honestly had no idea what we were doing in kickboxing. We both were shitty at it, but we both went, and it was great because we had each other. That's another thing.
I do find, you've been at my house and you see I have a cardio room. And I have treadmills, I have the Peloton, I have a Stairmaster, I have an arc trainer, I have a water rower. And the thing is like, okay, so I like doing cardio on machines. I don't mind. I'm not like an outdoor runner. I do my walks outside and I love it. But the outdoor running it hurts my body a pound. So I do like cardio machines, but I find that I am very, that my body never hits like, I don't know, like that plateau feeling or whatever, because I will switch it up and I'll be like, okay, I'm doing a 20-minute Peloton, or I'm going to do an incline walk on the treadmill. And if I was doing incline at a 4 incline, I'm going to jack it to 6, or I'm going to do stair mill intervals, or I'm going to do the arc. And it's like, my body never knows what's coming. I'm always mixing it up. I'm always changing the resistance. So it's not always balls to the wall. Sometimes I'm just chilling and I just do manual on the stairs. Someday I'm doing a 20-minute hit. I'm just going to do that and I'm done. done. Like I'm always mixing up. And so, people who just get stuck where they're like, I do my 20-minute walk at a 4.0 at a 1 incline. Your body knows what's coming. Your body knows what's coming.
Talk about adaptation, right? You hear these buzzwords, metabolic adaptation. You eat only 900 calories for 3 years. Your body's baseline is going to adapt to that 900 calories. But that's the same with movement. And I don't think people understand that. If you were a construction worker and every day you're shoveling shit, that's caloric output. But if you do that every single day, your body's going to get used to it.
Yep.
And that's not going to, you're going to need more training than that. If I went and I did shoveling, that would be a workout for me.
Yes.
I'm not used to that, right? Nurses or any healthcare worker, if they're walking every single shift, 10,000 steps a day, and that's just their shift, well, guess what? Your body's used to that and you need to do more to burn extra calories out. Like, yeah, it sucks, but I didn't make the rules, right?
And then people gain, like when you hear about football players and then they get used to all that training and they're eating a certain way and then they stop playing and then like you see like these like ex-athletes and they're like so heavy now, but it's like, okay, well, because they stopped all that activity, they're still eating the same amount. Yeah.
So whenever, and this happened with me, whenever I transitioned from being a bedside nurse to going coaching full time, my activity level, just as from a neat perspective, from a non-exercise perspective, walking around all day long to sitting my ass at a computer totally changed what I had to do in my fitness because I didn't have that non-exercise anymore.
You're right.
I went from moving constantly to my job is now sedentary. So we have to take that into account too. And I tell people that if you have a desk job, guess what? Your ass needs to be moving a lot more than the person who is bebopping around everywhere.
Yep.
So I think when someone says, I've plateaued, it's like, okay, maybe you have, but what T's are we crossing? What I's are we dotting here? And where do we need to look to see? Now, if you're telling me, yep, I'm on this, X, Y, and Z, everything's in a line. All right, then maybe we need to change some things up. Or I see this a lot too. Women, I've plateaued. I can't lose any weight. Tracking my food. I'm getting my workouts in. I'm doing all the things, Stephanie. I swear to God, I believe them. I believe everybody until I don't trust them. I believe you. Honor system. I believe you.
Yeah.
If you're working out 5 days a week, doing cardio 5 days a week for X amount of time, and it's a lot, and then not eating, those three things, maybe we need to eat some more food and build your metabolism back up then. And that is always a screwy part of right in and of itself, which we can talk about when we do our hormone talk. But
do you find that also do the foods themselves matter? I mean, I don't know.
It does. I mean, if you get weight loss surgery and you continue to eat the exact same way as you are, but just now in smaller portions because you have a belly this big, your fiber is probably low. Your inflammatory foods that you're eating, whether that's a ton of dairy or gluten or fried foods, are really high. That's going to have you hold water. Your digestion is going to be off. You might not be pooping that well.
Right.
We are machines, and we have.
So the quality of the food needs to change as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, just honestly,
more fruits and vegetables. I see, like, it's like with the fear mongering going on social media, which is often sad too. Then all of a sudden weight loss surgery people, a lot of them are so nervous about regaining that they're like, well, fruit has sugar and this has, I'm like, okay.
Wild, because I thought that too at the beginning of my journey. The thing is in most bariatric programs, I know for mine, I had to go through like 6 months of free stupid classes to get my bariatric surgery. And I really just went inside those classes and didn't learn anything because my goal was to get on the OR table at that point. I didn't care about learning at that point. Yeah. I just wanted to get on that OR table. And then afterwards, they're following up with you to make sure that your labs are okay and making sure that you're not eating a lot of carbs. And they really do put this thing in our minds. And then after a year or two, you're puts to them. There's no follow-up. There's no like aftercare. There's none of that. So you're just kind of turned into the wild at the most important time where year 3 to 5, that's where we see regain. Statistically is where we see regain.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
At year 3 to 5. What happens at year 3 to 5? All the inflammation in the body, in your belly that was just recreated is now gone, and you can start to eat a little bit more. Your pouch or your sleeve isn't as restricted as it once was when you were immediately done post-op. And if you're anything like me, and a lot of people that I know, I can eat as much as you at this point. So therefore, if I didn't really like pay attention to how I was eating and my lifestyle and trying to change that stuff up, I would have certainly regained all my weight back. Just doing what I was doing. And really, we got to think about this too. And I don't think that it's talked about enough in the weight loss surgery area is transfer addiction. We lose the emotional support of food, what food gave us, the dopamine response that food gave us back when we were larger. If we were hiding food, hoarding food, bad day food, we lose that. We lose that best friend. We transfer it a lot of times to alcohol. So what's alcohol? A lot of empty cows. A lot of people don't.
What is a slider food, or what are those? Like, I hear that a lot, that people say, don't do those, or whatever. I don't.
Foods are things that just kind of don't make you full and you keep going. Like a bag of chips. So a bag of chips, we could house a bag of chips in 42 seconds and we wouldn't even be full and whatever. But in one bag of chips, there's like 8 potatoes or something. So you try to eat 8 potatoes in one setting, you're going to be full.
Yeah.
So pretzels for me is a slider food. I can just keep munching and munching and munching. So it kind of slides right down the pouch, and it doesn't really offer us anything. They're usually very calorically dense.
Yes.
There's low fiber in those things most of the times. And you can just keep going.
So those are the foods that would cause the regain, or at least, right? Or, I mean,
it will add up.
Right.
In calories, right?
And cause you not to continue losing how you'd like to if you have a big amount of weight to lose. It'll slow your progress.
I mean, like, I love nuts. Nuts are great. Nuts are beautiful, beautiful fat, but people aren't watching those nuts. Man, those add up. Like 5 Brazilian nuts, 5 are like 10 grams of fat. And you're like, what? Why am I even eating those? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like there's an awareness. And I think that we get that when we start tracking food. I'm not saying that people should be tracking food for their whole life unless you have a particular goal. I personally do track more times than I don't, just because it's something I do and I like to do it. But initially, it is a very big eye opener to a person that has no idea what food costs them.
Tracking definitely, it's kind of like steps. It makes you accountable to, or bring like, there'll be some days where I'm like, I'm so tired. I had such a crazy day. And I look and I'm like, oh my God, I'm at 2,000 steps. It's like one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm so hungry today. And then you tracked your food and then you're like, oh, I already had, 2,300 calories. What the heck? I'm like, so it keeps you a little bit more like.
It keeps you and then you have to play a game, right? So you track you get to dinner and you track your food, and you see that you may have already had 70 grams of fat. Do you really need to add extra oil or butter into your meal?
Right. Or dressing or. Yeah.
And if you do, then you do whatever, but you need to take accountability for that. I'll never forget the time I weighed out and tracked corn. It was like 1/4 of a cup, and it was like 15 grams of carbs, 1/4 of a cup of corn. And I was like, that's so sad.
Yes. I remember when I did that with a red pepper once, when I was like, do we have to track vegetables? Because I've never tracked vegetables. I eat this big bowl of vegetables. And then I remember texting you because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna track my veggies and see like what I'm actually eating, because I was like, did you know a red pepper has like 8 grams of or it was something ridiculous. And I was like, oh my God, like I didn't even know, because it just brings awareness. And that's the same thing, like with activity. And then also when you want to complain and you're like, I'm not losing or whatever, it's like you go back to your tracker and you're like, well,
I was actually eating 2,300 calories a day in chocolate. So
exactly.
like pull that back and
that'll happen to my mom a lot where she'll be like, Dana, I have been perfect. I've been perfect. And then she'll be like, well, I went out to dinner this night and then I had wine this night. And we had pizza that night. And I'm like, Mom, you're 103 pounds. Like those are going to add up on you very quickly. Like that's not, I've been perfect. Like, but you know, it's like in your head, you're like,
yeah, and everybody needs a different amount of food.
yeah, exactly.
In my journey, 1,400 would make me gain.
Mm-hmm.
I had really hard to get past that barrier because I was metabolically adaptive, and we'll talk about that later. But 1,400 would make me gain. Fast forward, work through that. Now, you know, I have a baseline of about 2,200, which is much more easy to hit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, 1,400 always having to diet. That's diet calories. So when you're eating so little for so long, you have to take that time to kind of work your food up. So you're not living in this very restricted lifestyle all the time.
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to start. And honestly, in terms of muscle gain for women who are natural, it's not something that just happens over a year.
No.
Many
and
years.
For muscle gain, like how many extra calories would you tell a client that they would need to add to their baseline or whatever, just to even like put on some muscle? Because you can't.
I think that is individualized. Right?
Okay.
So I said, Karen, since you eat 900 calories every single day, I need you to eat 1,600 and you're going to gain muscle. I don't know. She might gain fat with that because I don't even know how she trains. If she's not training hard at all and eating 1,600 calories and then she's not doing any cardio with it, she's going to gain weight. You don't really have that much output whenever you're weight training. There's not that much caloric burn initially. It's like a long-term thing.
I don't burn many calories when I weight train. It's always like a letdown. I'm like, oh my God, like I just trained my ass off for like an hour and I burn 100 calories.
As you gain muscle and you put on that mass, you're going to be a better calorie burner overall versus in that. And that's, I think, why people love cardio so much, because they're seeing like, oh my God,
you blast the cows.
Let's go. Where, you know, training is much different. And if you don't know how to push a training session, it's not going to be as fun for you. It's really not. So I think that's relative. I also think that women don't prioritize protein enough. Men will eat whatever you tell them to. Really, they're easy.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you tell them to slam some chicken and steak, they're going to just do it.
Yep.
Women are harder with the protein, and it really does matter. I hate to say it, like we don't always have to eat like a ton of it, but we need to eat a lot more than, you know, women usually do. I think on average, if I have women just kind of not, because I like to play these games with my clients sometimes. I like them to just eat how you eat and track. Let's see, like, where does your diet fall and like where are your preferences, right?
Right.
And I see women, they like usually like 60 to 90 grams of protein a day, which,
oh my God,
what weight loss?
I have that by like lunch, but okay, yeah, I get it.
Which weight loss surgery programs say, you know, 60 grams of protein a day is where you need to be. And I'm just like, that is so.
I don't know how to eat that. Like because I
the rest of your diet with, right?
Yeah.
Fat.
Wow.
Right? Like I just see that all the time. We can't eat carbs after weight loss surgery because, like I said, they're sacrilege. You're only being told to eat 60 grams of protein. So if you're not eating carbs and you're eating 60 grams of protein, that's like what? I'm going to calculate it.
Yeah, like what's left?
60 grams of protein is 240 calories a day. So what are you filling it up with? Because I know you're hungry, fat.
Some of them is just coffee.
Some of them just coffee.
And skinny syrups. You
need to stop this. You need to stop. Well, we're wondering why we're hungry and then we're drinking calories.
Yeah.
Eat.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. If you have a 400 calorie drink, do you know what that looks like on a plate? That could be a massive meal.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to be hungry if you eat 400 calories of high fiber foods and lean protein. You're not going to be hungry.
Yeah.
You're not even going to be able to finish that. But you can slurp down that Starbucks really easily.
Really easily. Yep. And
In
what
26 seconds,
what nutritional value, what fiber?
Cows in the hole. But if you had the big ass salad like you make with avocado and the turkey or the chicken or steak or salmon or tuna, whatever, and you had that 400 calorie drink and then a salad for 400 calories, minus the dressing, because those can get a little sus.
Yeah.
You're not going to be hungry in 2 hours after you drink your 500 or pair this with your meal.
Yeah.
You're just like.
And then people constantly ask me, how do I know where my cal should be? How do I know where my macro should be? How do I know? What?
Yes. So how do I know what I need for weight loss? Okay. So this is what you do. You figure out how to track your food for 2 weeks.
Yep.
Whatever you're eating, you figure it out. And say you're eating 1,900 calories and you're not making any movements on the scale. Peel it off by, 400 calories a day. That's where you would lose the most. If that's too much for you, that's too deep for you initially, then 200 calories a day. But you need to figure out what your baseline is first and what you're actually doing. And if you're being true to that tracker and you're only eating 800 to 900 calories a day, guess what, my friend? We need to work on your metabolism before we can diet you even further, or else, number one, you're going to be doing a ton of cardio. You need to train like a banshee and you're going to be eating 400 calories. And I will never allow a woman to do that, especially a woman in her 30s.
Yeah.
Never.
Oh my gosh. Who could even do that? And who would even want to? I don't even, it's like that, just like hearing it, I'm like, ugh, I like shudder. It's like, that's
kind of where we are after weight loss surgery. That's why we got so quick. We're lucky we can get in 500-600 calories. And when I have a new,
that's wild.
After they get weight loss surgery, if they're eating 800 calories, I'm like, yes, this is great. This is a great start.
Yeah.
You always think, oh my God, I'm eating too much. No. Please eat that much, because you don't want to have to deal with the smoke of eating 500 calories a day for a year. You don't want to have to deal with that smoke. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah. The wild thing is it's weight loss surgery, but it's also women who've just, I guess, I don't know if they call it diet culture or whatever, but women who've just been taught to like eat less, move more, eat less, move more. And it's like, even those women, they need to build up their metabolism.
Well, this is what we have been taught when we were younger. Our generation, we're only a couple years apart in age. Mm-hmm. Eat less, do more. But the chickies now in the gym, the young 20-year-olds, those girls are eating and they're training hard.
Yeah.
Like, there's a very different mindset than how you and I and our generation of women know how to lose weight. And the new generation of women are going about fitness. They're about gaining that muscle. They're about getting under the bar. They're about training, and they look great. And we want to look like them, but we're still focused on eat less, do more cardio, when they're completely different.
Yeah.
They don't have that. They don't have the Victoria's Secret models that are stick figures. Remember?
Oh my God. Pamela Anderson was like, she was a stick figure with, big bolt on boobs. And it was like, that's what we wanted.
Crazy. Everybody buys those. That's fine.
Yeah. And like, you just had to be super skinny and you didn't have to hold muscle. And and then all of a sudden, then the ultra curves came in and then everyone's building a booty.
Yeah. So now we're into the more voluptuous look, which is really
healthier looking too.
Right. And it's more obtainable.
Yeah. Because women for the most part have curves and like they're supposed to have. Yeah.
They're supposed to. And I wondered why for so long it was so hard to get, pregnant, because I was either obese or super skinny. And there is a level of body fat that the body prefers to be a good functional body as a woman.
Right.
And if we're not getting periods and we're not having those things, and
the body's smart. The body knows, like, look, you have to be able to house this kid and grow a baby for, 9 months. And yeah,
we are animals. We are animals at the basis of our core and to our very small, minuscule cells of our body. And it knows what to do and how evolutionary it needs to move to make us as healthy as possible. And that's going to come big in our metabolism talk that we have. But yeah, I think also let's talk about the weight loss drugs.
Yeah. How do you, what are your thoughts on that? On
number one, Ozempic. Okay, let's just say semaglutide and tirzepatide, because semaglutide, trizepatide. They're two different molecules, but there's many different brand names. There's Zepbound now. There's Mounjaro for trizepatide, and then Wegovy and Ozempic.
And you would only take like one at a time. You just pick one that you'd want to take.
Pick one, yeah, right.
Okay.
Now the trizepatide has two different components, and it has two different peptides. It has a GLP-1 and a GIP. The semaglutide is just a GLP-1 agonist. So really, if you want to know which one's better, it's the trizepatide. It has extra. Anyways, okay. I think that these drugs are phenomenal drugs for the right person. I also think that too many people are abusing them and not using them the right way, and are not being monitored close enough.
Who's an abuser? Like what? Like how? Like the people who don't need it and they're using it, or they don't have blood sugar issues? Like what are the signs that it's not for you?
So if you need to lose weight, if you have some obesity or insulin resistance, which is diagnosed by blood work, there's some clinical signs of insulin resistance, but mostly diagnosed by blood work, or you're not diabetic, then technically from a medical perspective, if I was writing the script for it, you wouldn't need it. Do I believe that some people go on it to lower their appetite? Yes. If they're already skinny, they probably don't need it. But the people that are abusing it, whether you have diabetes, you're obese, or you just want to go on it to lose some weight, are the people that aren't changing their lifestyle while they're using that medication.
Like Oprah just came out saying she's using it as maintenance. Like I saw an article and people have been talking about it. And so it's like what? Just to kind of maintain her weight, meaning it's just giving her more control. And she's taking a maintenance dose. I thought that your body built up a resistance to it or something. I don't know.
So you have to titrate it up over time to continue the weight loss. But once you reach your goal weight loss, you can then just stay on a maintenance dose of it.
Oh, so that's what probably she's doing.
That's what she's doing. That's what a lot of people are doing. But a lot of people are popping these drugs and then not eating with it at all.
Oh yeah. You know what? I came across a girl at the retreat that I was just at, and I guess she was on it, and I offered her a devotion waffle at the booth, and then she was like, no, I just took my shot. And I was like, huh? And then she was like, yeah, and I usually don't eat for like 3 days after I take the shot. And I was like,
what's happening to the metabolism, right?
That's what I said. And I was like, you don't care about but it's protein, like get into your protein at least every day. Like, what about your calorie? Like what about muscle? And she's like, I don't care about that. And I'm like, okay.
So I'm seeing a lot of things online now, how terrible these drugs are for us because it causes metabolic adaptation. Well, that's because people won't eat on it. Mm-hmm. It's causing gut issues because people are staying on it way too long, and they're not
Do the gut issues come because you're not eating enough and you're not taking in fiber?
Yeah, well, that is a component of it. But these drugs in and of themselves slow down the digestive tract. It's how people stay full longer. It slows down. Whenever we eat and, it's going through our small intestine, our large intestine, we have a thing called peristalsis going on. It moves food through, so you poops it out, right?
Yes.
You poops it out. That slows down peristalsis. It slows it down so much so your belly stays fuller longer. And because of that, people are getting GERD. They're getting SIBO, which is an overgrowth.
Oh, my God. That's horrible. Yeah.
And they're ignoring those signs because skinny means more to them than gut health and health in general.
Yeah.
And this is where the abuse comes in. So if you're feeling like shit on a drug and you're having reflux and you're constipated all the time and you're bloating and you're burping, like whenever you get SIBO and you burp, it tastes like eggs or sulfur or something like that.
Oh, wow. Really? Okay.
You're having all these signs.
Yeah.
You got to think like, okay, is this the medication that I'm on? What's going on? But no, it's just, I want to be skinny, so I'm going to take this drug. I'm not going to eat. I'm going to take this drug because you don't think about food on it.
It's doing so many other things. Yeah.
It's doing so much else in the body. So whenever I have a client on it, I run mine very differently, and I'm up their ass about their food, and I'm up their ass about their clinical signs, and I'm making sure that they're eating, and I'm making sure that at that point we are even bringing calories up if we can to try to work through some metabolic issues and insulin resistant issues, and pulling them off for a little bit and giving their body a break. people don't like to come off of them because whenever you're on it, your appetite is so suppressed that you do not think about food. It blocks the incipitory response in the brain, the GLP-1 does. They're even coming out now with research that GLP-1 agonists, like the drugs that we're talking about, is going it may start curing addiction. It may start curing alcohol addiction because you don't need that dopamine response. It may start curing drug addiction because you don't need a dopamine response. Well, when you're overweight, you get that response from food.
Right.
You're not thinking about food at all. Now, when you come off of that drug, girl, remember how you felt after you got out of your competition and like you get that one taste of food and you're like, holy shit, food, let's go. I never.
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course.
I'm not full ever. You get that when you come off these drugs.
Oh God.
All your ghrelin goes up, your leptin goes down, all these things that are suppressed on the drug, they come back. And so people rebound so much because they're not eating on the drug. They've now metabolically adapted to not eating every 3 days.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Talking about, you come off the drug because you have whatever reason to come off the drug. Your gut gets messed up. You need to come off of it. One of the contraindications is pancreatitis. You can get pancreatitis on these medications. You have to come off of it. If you get pregnant, you have to come off of it. If you're breastfeeding, it's not regulated for breastfeeding yet. So there's a couple things that means that you have to come off of it. So now you've been on this drug for 2 years. You haven't ate in 2 years. You're losing weight or you're maintaining your weight. You have to come off for whatever reason, and you have no idea how to manage this. What does that look like?
Yeah.
A large rebound. So yeah, the drugs are dope. And if you are diabetic, your A1C is going to come down. If you're insulin resistant, it's almost going to clean that all up. But if you're not smart with how you use this tool, then it's not going to be.
Oh, wow. Now, this is great information because I'm sure there are people listening and they have questions even about whether they should go on it, if they, or maybe they're on it. And, sometimes it's like, it's a lot of.
It's a wonderful compound. It's a wonderful peptide. They're peptides, right? We know peptides have existed for forever. These peptides have been around for forever. Just, they've been marketed now in a big way. So everybody knows about them.
Yeah.
The T1 agonists have been around for forever. Just not in the Western medicine world.
Sometimes it's like if it's, we have an obesity problem in America. And so everyone's excited, like, ooh, is this the solution? Is this our solution? But like, you always have to remember, like with all the, there's
all the good, there's other things.
Yes. And you always have to be aware because you don't want to then bring new problems, on yourself or all of a sudden it's like, oh, everything was great. And sometimes if it's too good to be true,
and you can get these anywhere. Like,
oh yeah, they're easy to get now. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to pay, you can get them wherever. Insurance is a little bit different, but even now, the insurance came out, or Lilly, I think is the company that makes this, came out with Zepbound, which is the same thing as Mounjaro, and Zepbound is for weight loss. Mounjaro is for type 2 diabetics. So now the insurance is picking up on Zepbound for people who are obese and want to lose weight, which is great because there is an obesity epidemic. But I think that there's not a lot of education happening.
That, in my head, I was just thinking, but I wish there would be more education about nutrition, about movement, about, exercise, like all those things that
just like weight loss surgery, going on these drugs may offset having to have surgery for people that are obese. But there is education and lifestyle changes that have to be done alongside it.
Yep.
Or it's not going to work the way that it's intended to, or for the long term.
Yeah.
And you got to come off of it at some point. You really do. You really do. I think that's my own medical opinion. Other providers might think differently. I've just seen a lot, and both in Western medicine and functional medicine, I've seen a lot, and I've dealt with it a lot. That I think that everybody needs to come off for some time, if not to just teach them about how to actually manage a diet without having your brain messed with to turn that off.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. That's awesome information. Well, with that, unfortunately, we ran out of time again, but we've so much more.
We just talked that much about
I know. It's like another hour. I'm like, holy cow, but this was amazing information. We got
to have the topics that we wanted to talk about.
I know. Well, we're going to do it again and again. We have so much more to talk about. I mean, shoot, but I think that everyone's going to walk away from this episode with, I don't know, just like my mind just opened. My wheels are returning about a lot of this stuff.
I'm very passionate about Ozempic.
Yeah.
And those drugs alike. I'm very passionate. So, if you guys want my opinion,
yes,
my knowledge on it, please message me, Shrinking Steph on Instagram, or if you put it in the show notes, Steph@teamlaunch.com.
Yes, I'll put everything in the show notes, and we always tag you and all that. Yeah. So.
And I'm willing to share my knowledge about them because I think they're getting a bad rap because some people are on them that shouldn't be, and the education behind it is not. It's not there for some people at all.
Yeah. It's all about education. It's like there's some things that, doesn't mean you shouldn't do, but educate yourself before you do it and make the right decision and have a plan, how you're using it.
Like, I have people, I'm going to go on Manjaro. Okay. Have you dieted?
Yeah.
Have you tried? Have you?
And what's the lifestyle that you're going to do with this, and making sure that, at least like you said, you're keeping a certain baseline calorie so you're not crashing your metabolism. Like, make sure even if you're on this, okay, you're going to need to force in that protein so you don't just completely waste yourself away.
Yeah. So you want to go on a weight loss drug, but have you done anything for maybe 6 months, 3 to 6 months, something?
Yep.
To start that journey.
Yeah.
Please.
I think your lifestyle already has to be in place, and then you can use that as maybe a tool, just like, a tool. Right. But you need to be using that alongside of good nutrition, movement, all those things. Not, okay, this is just like a magic pill and then I'm and then what? No, you've learned nothing.
It's just like a crash diet.
Yep. Well, this was great stuff. Let's do this again. I mean, you and I already know we're always talking about how we have more topics to talk about. We want to talk about hormones, PCOS, we have so much. So we're going to do this again. This was amazing.
Talk about plastics, which we were supposed to do this.
Yeah, exactly. We should just do a whole episode on that. There's just so much to talk about. This is why you and I were going to have a podcast together, because we were we could just keep going on all these topics. But hey, we have one. We've got now a platform to talk. You guys know where to find us every Tuesday, new episode. Listen in. There's going to always be so much more information that you can learn every time we launch an episode. So thanks.
To educate, happy to be here. Happy to talk about these things.
Yes. Reach out to Steph. She's a wealth of knowledge, and I'm very, very happy that she's, one of my closest friends, and I can ask her anything, anytime, because she really does know her stuff. So you guys, Steph,
don't sugarcoat the thing.
No, exactly. She'll be real with you. So Steph, thank you for being on.
You're welcome.
And we'll do this again. Thanks for listening, everybody. Until it's done, a devoted podcast.